Welcome to Everything I Never Said, a space for the words I've held on for far too long. Every episode I'll share a piece of my story, raw, unfiltered, and honest. Some truths are hard to say out loud, but here, I'm saying them. Maybe you'll see yourself in them. Maybe you'll feel a little less alone. Either way, I'm glad you're here. Today I'm sharing a piece that touches on grief. Not the grief of losing someone else, but the grief of losing yourself. This one was hard to write. It might even be harder to say out loud, but here I am saying it anyway. Let's begin. I feel like I let myself down, but that's a lie. What I feel is grief. Not the kind from losing someone else, something clean, something recognized, something with rituals to soften the blow. No, this is different. This is the slow, silent death of the self. The kind no one holds a funeral for. The kind you don't even notice happening until you wake up one day and realize you've been standing in your own ruins for years, pretending it's still a home. I feel like I'm drowning, and I hate that. Because my life is finally happening. Things are moving, doors are opening. I should be grateful, I should be ecstatic, and I am. But why does it still feel like there's a weight on my chest? Like I can't take a full breath without the air catching in my throat? Because I'm stitching myself back together with no anesthesia, no distractions, no numbing agents, no borrowed versions of happiness to make it easier. Just me standing over an operating table, scallop in hand, cutting into everything I buried alive. And if we're being honest, that's why people don't heal. It's not because they can't, it's because it requires a level of brutality most people aren't willing to face, because healing is not gentle. Healing is a war. You have to go back to the battlefield, to the exact moment the knife went in, and pull it out yourself. The chaos in my life is quieting, and that terrifies me. Do you know how disorienting it is to live in survival mode for so long that peace feels like a threat? To finally hear the silence and mistake it for the sound of something coming to take it all away? My walls are up, barely, because the second I let them down, something might break. And I know exactly what that something is. Me. And in that silence, grief. Not just for the things I lost, but for the things I never got to be. The versions of me that never made it past the wreckage, the child I abandoned, the dreams I buried, the softness I didn't allow myself to have. And when the tears come, they don't ask for permission. The body just knows. It's time to empty itself of everything it can't carry anymore. Something is shifting inside of me. A feminine energy, but not the kind we're taught to recognize. Not something delicate or docile. No, this is something older, something primal, something untamed. It's the kind of energy that builds and destroys in the same breath. The kind that terrifies because it cannot be contained. It's like I'm splitting open. The woman I'm becoming is crawling her way to the surface, but right beside her is the little girl I left behind, finally exhaling for the first time in years. And then there's me, standing between them, breaking open to make space for both. It's disorienting, it's violent. But isn't that what transformation is? A violent act? The breaking, the dissolving, the becoming? Because if I don't surrender to this, then what the fuck am I even doing here? And this new energy, it's everywhere. Like an eye has opened in my hands. Like I've been given the ability to feel beyond myself. Like another voice is speaking from inside me, louder than fear, louder than logic, louder than the world's expectations. It's her, that woman, and she is not waiting for permission. Perfection is a myth, and if it weren't, I wouldn't exist. None of us would. Because to be perfect is to be finished, and I am not done. I am not a polished, symmetrical, easily digestible version of myself. I am chipped, cracked, burned, and rebuilt. I am both a masterpiece and a disaster in the same breath. To be human is to be unfinished, to contradict yourself, to be both the wound and the healer, the storm and the calm, the light and the thing crawling out of the darkness. So put the armor down. Stop trying to outrun the fire. Let it consume what no longer belongs to you. Let yourself be ruined. Let yourself be remade. Because this, the breaking, the bleeding, the rebuilding, this is where the real shit happens. My therapist suggested that I write down my feelings on paper, as it's easier for me to express myself. This is something I've always felt, but for a long time it's been difficult to express myself because I always thought it was unusual to feel like this and that no one would truly understand it. However, when I've shared my feelings on this certain subject with very few people, it's been comforting for them. And for the first time ever, I felt seen as they did, and it was just so nice knowing that I didn't feel alone. So I was experiencing complex range of emotions when I wrote this piece. I felt overwhelmed by fear, uh, vulnerability, and deep hurt. And in my moment of vulnerability, I momentarily forgot that I was human. This feeling of grief is something I had never openly acknowledged until recently. And I was holding back for so long. Um, like I said, it's better for me to write my feelings out on paper than it is to express in person. Um, I just didn't want to seem crazy when I expressed to myself, I feel like I'm dying. I feel like there needs to be a funeral. Like, that was so hard to like say out loud, is to feel like you're dying but you're alive. Like, I'm here, but I'm not mentally here. My spirit is somewhere else. I felt a sense of relief once I had said this out loud to certain individuals because they also have experienced the same feeling and they understood where I was coming from. And I didn't feel alone. I felt seen. I felt understood for the first time. And that made me realize I can open up to people and they can relate. We can have open discussions. We can connect on a deeper level. And I think that's what the human experience is about, should be about, is to connect on deep levels and being able to be raw and unfiltered and vulnerable together without using past or actions against each other. Healing is difficult because we have to face the music, the pain. We have to acknowledge the things that have happened to us, and that can be incredibly painful within itself. We don't ever want to relive trauma. Sometimes just the thought of it is unbearable. But how can we move on if we can't accept the truth in the pain? How can we free ourselves if we're still running from what broke us? And that's the part no one talks about, the brutality of it. Healing isn't this soft, graceful thing. It's raw. It's confronting the very moments we swore we'd never look at again. But that, I think, is the only way. We have to go back to the battlefield, to the exact moment the knife went in, and we have to pull it out ourselves. No one else can do that for us. But maybe, just maybe, that's where we find our strength. Not in avoiding the pain, but in facing it. Knowing that we survived it once, and we can survive facing it again. I just want to tell each and every single one of you, never feel ashamed of speaking your truth, even if your voice shakes. I believe that healing out loud is one of the most beautiful things we can experience on our journey. It's how we make space for something new. Because if we don't heal, we'll bleed on things or people that didn't hurt us. Thank you for being here, for holding space with me. If this resonated with you, I hope you give yourself permission to speak your own truths, even the ones that scare you. Because healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about facing it, owning it, and choosing to move forward anyway. Take care of yourself and remember, your voice matters. I'll see you next time.